Give me a player or multiple players on the Chiefs that are maybe lesser known to the general public, but Chiefs fans know are crucial to the success of the team this year.
So specifically, because it's going to come down to him stepping up in Charles Omenihu's basically absence, it's Mike Dana, who has been a mainstay. He's defensive end, who they drafted in the 5th round a few years ago. Been really that rotational pass rusher, good against the run. He played at Michigan, Western Michigan before that. And one of the big advantages, and one of the things that the Chiefs do a lot of, is that they draft these defensive ends that can also like kick inside and rush from the interior. And at Michigan, he did a lot of that. That was kind of like his specialty, coming down in and rushing from the interior when they had Aiden Hutchinson, and they were just able to kind of get after these offensive lines. And Mike Dana has, again, consistently been an important, impactful player. He's gotten much better in pass rush this season, getting better with his hands. Really, when it comes down, obviously Nick Bosa is a huge athletic guy, can win straight with pure athleticism at all times, speed, quickness, the bend, all that stuff. But some guys aren't as athletically talented and gifted as that. And what I've seen from Dana this year is that he's used his strength and the speed to power to actually use the long arm and take a guy like Ronnie Stanley last week and just push him into the backfield. He's had some injuries, but he played really good football against the Texans, who have one of the better pass rushes in football, to be very honest with you. And he was excellent in that football game. And Mike Dana was able to do a lot of things to be able to get after him after Charles Omenihu went out in that football game. So he's one of the players that I'm looking forward to watching, because he might get sacrificed to Trent Williams. I'll be honest. He might just get sacrificed to him, because if I'm being totally honest with you, someone is going to be sacrificed. I don't know who it's going to be, whether it's going to be him or their rookie Felix Anudike-Uzomah. It doesn't matter. But as much as I would love to see someone beat Trent Williams one-on-one, I'm not entirely sure it's going to happen in this football game. But he's done a very good job of being a steady ship, because Charles Omenihu started the season out on a 6-game suspension. So they also drafted that rookie who was inexperienced against the run. He has a good pass rush tool bag, but he didn't really know how to stop the run. So we saw Mike Dana come in and be a really important player early on. He's gotten better, again, like I said, in the pass rush department. So he's someone who will have to make an impact on this football game wherever he's playing, because they don't have Charles Omenihu there. And you can't just stick Chris Jones at defensive end and say, hey, go to town, because he needs to play on the interior. So he's someone I'll be watching very, very closely in this matchup.
You talked about maybe having someone be a sacrificial lamb, essentially, for Trent Williams.
Essentially.
The right side of the 49ers offensive line has been a problem all year. McKivitz is not very good. He's our right tackle. Would you strategically put Karlaftis on him and let him go to work, or how would you attack that if you were coaching the Chiefs?
So what I would do is George Karlaftis predominantly rushes over the right tackle anyway. I would put him and Chris Jones next to each other on the right-hand side of the San Francisco offensive line and just say, go to town. But I'd also overload that side. So we know Spags blitzes. So I'm going to try to mess with all the pass protection, everything that I possibly can. I know that the 49ers like to run condensed splits, and Spags is one of the most effective blitzers out of condensed splits, because it doesn't matter if it's Justin Reed or Trent McDuffie or even, L'Jarius Sneed, who has been predominantly an outside corner. All of those guys can blitz. Every single one of them, they're very good at blitzing. So that's exactly what I would do most of the game. You can't just continuously do that, because you can start throwing, Kittle and blocking tight ends and even use check at him if you want to. So you mix it up a little bit, but predominantly that's what I would do to really try to confuse the right-hand side of that offensive line as much as I could.
Yeah, I mean, condensed splits means easier path to the quarterback, right? Yep. From any position. So I like the insight there. Now, the Chiefs do have a few other injuries. Most of these guys have been out for a couple games now. I think Gay should be back, which is a big get back for y'all. Nadi is on IR. He is not going to play. And then we know that Tooney's likely out as well. Most likely just not going to play. Small chance, but I don't see it happening. Who do you think the biggest miss is? Is it Omenihu? Is it Nadi? Or is it Tooney, in your opinion?
That's a good question. I think it's really hard to replicate an all-pro player. It just is. And Joe Tooney's an all-pro guard. And when their interior line has him, Creed Humphrey, and Trey Smith, it's one of the best in football. And like I said, it's Nick Gallegretti did a really good job last week. He's got starting experience. He started that entire 2020 season for the Chiefs at left guard. So
very athletic. He's very athletic too. Yeah.
Drafted out of Illinois. He's not like the best. He's not Joe Tooney. He can't come out and pull. He can't play right tackle. Can't play left tackle. Can't do all that stuff. He can move a little bit. You can pull him inside still. You don't want him lead blocking. That's not where he's at his best. But he's more of a mauling type of guard. He's much more physical. And again, he played very well, getting help from Donovan Smith and Creed Humphrey. So I don't think that I think his loss is going to be the biggest felt. But because Charles Omenihu provides so much from an interior pass rush perspective, from an outside pass rush perspective, and being able to, I would think maybe take Trent Williams every now and then, one time, maybe. I don't know if Mike Dana is going to be able to do that, and not everybody can win against Trent Williams, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But I think that just looking at it on paper, it's so difficult to replace an all-pro player. So I think that based on what I've seen and the ability from the Chiefs defensive line and Spags to kind of simulate pass rush and get different ways of winning in their pass rush and blitzing, whether it be that way, I think that Tooney's going to be the most felt loss of this Super Bowl.
Yeah, I think I think losing an all-pro is always very tough. Yeah. So I agree with that. Brother Bob says, Danny, CMC 130 or 150 plus yards. Don't lie, your run D is not good.
No, it's not. It really isn't. But I don't know if he's going to have 150 plus on the ground. I'll be honest with you there. I think 100 plus is well within reach, though. Like I have zero, fantasies about this run defense being fantastic. But I will push back on the notion that they can't defend the wide zone, because they absolutely can defend the wide zone. They've done that very well this season in large part because Willie Gay and Nick Bolton are extremely fast linebackers. They get downhill very, very quickly, and their safeties, their corners, their slot will all tackle. They tackle very well, and they have no problems getting downhill in the run game. So I think that their best path to getting him to those numbers is running up the middle and just chunking 7, 8, maybe not getting those 10, 15 plus yarders, but just consistently going at it up the middle and just saying, we'll live with it, but we're not going to go away from it just because we're not getting the big chunks.
Yeah. Do you think we could see the Chiefs go single high and bring that extra person in the box and kind of trust Snead and some of these other guys to cover on the outside in a man situation? Or do you think that, because they do start out in too high a majority of the time, but they get very crafty, very crafty out of that too high. It doesn't always mean that you're getting too high, but like, what do you see the Chiefs doing to combat the run? And let's say CMC is gashing them for 6, 7 at a clip and the 49ers just aren't going away with it. Is that something the Chiefs have done this year to kind of help with the run defense? Or is it, hey, we're going to stay kind of too high safeties and hope that we can stop you when you get into the red zone?
Ideally, I think that's what they do. Like that, it's Spags. I've made this joke a lot too. Spags is always like, look, you might get 6 or 7 here on first or second down, but one time you're not going to get that. One time you might get a negative yard. It might be 2nd and 11. And he's waiting for it because that's what he wants. Like, even if you go back for like the last 5 years, their run defense and their defense in general have not been good. But they get into the postseason and they tweak some things, and it's at the end of the day getting that one negative play on first down or that one negative play on second down, whether it's a run blitz, because you'll see some of those too. They did that against Baltimore where they had some first down blitzes. They're going to do that a little bit as well, because like you said, they do trust their back end, their secondary to make plays on balls. And they assume that if they're run blitzing and you're play action faking, or even if you're just dropping back, there'll be a free rusher in someone's face. So that's, again, it's a little risk, a little reward. You try to map that out as best you can. And fortunately for Spags in the postseason, it's worked out more than it hasn't. You see a couple busts every now and then, but They will play with some of those rules and blitz every now and then on specific like first downs. But at the end of the day, Spags is just waiting for that one negative play. And he's not, like, we just saw it against the Bills. They really let the Bills run the football. They did not really do anything differently to try to stop it, because at the end of the day, they said, we're going to find a way to get a negative play here or a negative play there. And then when you have to throw the football, we're just going to get you there.